Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with an update video today. We'll go through some of the main newspapers here in Spain and see what has been happening in the news over the last day or so here in Spain. We'll take a look at El Mundo, El País, El Confidencial, the state broadcaster RTVE. We'll also go into the comment section and have a look what is happening there. There was lots of debate on yesterday's video, so I'll pull a few comments out and give my opinion on what people are saying there in the comment section. Now let's get straight into the news and we'll go to El Mundo, and all of the news today is talking about Joe Biden and the fact that he is going to be sworn in as president today, taking over from Donald Trump. That is the main focus of the news here in Spain, and as we can see here, basically all of the first 5 or 6 news stories are about that. We have to go down to the second line to find out what's happening in Spain, and of course it is COVID related. Again, we're in the middle of the third wave. We can see here, tercera ola, 15 comunidades autónomas pedirán hoy a ella adelantar el toque de queda o poder confinar. Basically what they're saying here is that 15 autonomous communities will ask Mr. Illa today to bring the hour of the curfew forward or to be able to confine people in their homes. That is the main news story today. This has been a fairly hot topic for the last week or so. We saw that Castilla, León, Andalusia wanted to bring forward that curfew hour to 8 p.m. In fact, I think Castilla, León did it. I think we mentioned that the other day, but apparently it wasn't legal. So they're going to try to convince the minister, Mr. Illa, today to bring that time forward to 8 p.m. 15 autonomous communities. Now remember, there's 17 in Spain, so only 2 don't want to change the curfew time, but 15, yes. So we'll see what happens today with that meeting with Mr. Illa, whether the curfew time is going to come down to 8 p.m. in those 15 autonomous communities that want it to. Now we'll go back into the paper and we'll take a look here at an article on the right. Murcia, la esposa del consejero de salud también se ha vacunado contra el coronavirus. And there's a little article just below that as well saying that el consejero se niega a dimitir tras vacunarse. So we'll click on the main article and see what's happening. And we can see here, as I just read, la esposa del consejero de salud de Murcia también se ha vacunado contra el coronavirus. So the translation of this headline would be, the wife of the health minister in Murcia has also been vaccinated against the coronavirus. Now this is a bit of a controversy because obviously the vaccines are only for certain groups at the moment. They're not for politicians. But apparently what's happened there is that the health minister in Murcia has got a couple of extra doses of the vaccine, given one to himself, and his wife has also been vaccinated as well. Now, as I said, it's only for certain members of the population. I think we were starting with the elderly in nursing homes, frontline workers, and not politicians. Now, this also popped up, I think, in Alicante, another case. There was also another case in Barcelona. So various politicians not being as honest as they should and taking advantage of the vaccine programs in their autonomous communities. Now, we'll go back and have a look at the other article related to this one. And it is that the consejero, let's click on this one if we can, and we can see here, el consejero de salud de Murcia no dimite y defiende haberse vacunado porque trabaja en la gestión directa de la pandemia. So the health minister in Murcia doesn't resign, and he's defending being given the vaccination because he works in the direct management of the pandemic. So a little bit cheeky in my opinion. That's his excuse, that he's on the front line there working with the management of the pandemic in Murcia, and it was his right, according to him, to be vaccinated and his wife before other groups in the community. And he said he's not going to resign. No surprises there, because as we know, nobody resigns in this country if they do something wrong, especially politicians. Now we'll leave El Mundo now and we'll go to El País. We'll see what's happening in El País, El Periódico Global, the global newspaper. And we can see here that Joe Biden, of course, there on the front page, Joe Biden abre una nueva era en Estados Unidos. So he's opening a new era in the United States. As I said before, all of the press here in Spain talking about Joe Biden and his inauguration today. Now let's see what's happening here in Spain. There's an article on the left, and we can see here it says, más de 6 millones de mayores de 70 años recibirán la vacuna de la COVID a partir de marzo. So more than 6 million people over the age of 70 will receive the COVID vaccine starting in March. So the vaccination plan starting to get a bit of a move on here. And this is the next group here that is going to be vaccinated in Spain starting in March, people over the age of 70. Now we'll leave El País, we'll move to El Confidencial, we'll see what's happening there. I'll just get rid of that banner and we'll go down here and see what the coronavirus map looks like in El Confidencial today. We'll have a look at a few of the autonomous communities. We'll look at a few of the bad autonomous communities at the moment. So for example, Extremadura, now up to 1,400 cases per 100,000 in the last 14 days. Murcia also now at 1,139. Things not looking good there. Andalusia, 644. And of course the Canary Islands, 178. So things still not too bad in the Canary Islands. And if we have a look at the graph on the right, we can see that we are now peaking above the 30,000 mark for daily cases here in Spain, and that is an average of cases over the last 7 days. We'll go down and see if we can find any news that catches my attention. And we can see this article here on the right, donde nos contagiamos, al menos el 40% de los casos tienen origen desconocido. So where do we catch the coronavirus? At least 40% of cases have an unknown origin. So in 40% of the cases, nobody knows where they get the virus from. And that is another one of the great mysteries of this COVID-19 pandemic. We'll keep going down here. We'll have a look at this article here. Drama nacional, el turismo cae a niveles de hace 25 años y retrasa a 2023 la recuperación. So what they're saying here is that tourism has dropped to levels of those 25 years ago, and they're not planning a recovery until 2023 for the tourism sector here in Spain. Now, we mentioned in yesterday's video Benidorm. We said that there were various vulture funds circling around those hotels down there in Benidorm, and maybe that type of tourism won't recover for a long time to come. Nobody really knows. That was just that newspaper yesterday speculating. But of course, if hotels in places like Benidorm fall into the hands of vulture funds, who knows what the future is going to be for those hotels and for workers in that sector. Now we'll leave El Confidencial and we'll go to RTVE, the national broadcaster. We'll see what's happening there. We can see the Statue of Liberty, of course, because as we know, we're talking about Joe Biden today and Donald Trump. And this article here, La pandemia que Biden hereda de Trump, 400,000 muertes con COVID-19 y una polémica gestión. So the pandemic that Biden is going to inherit from Trump, 400,000 COVID-19 deaths, and a controversial management of the situation in the United States. Let's keep going down here and see if there's any more news that catches my attention. Okay, this one here, La Comunidad Valenciana, because we mentioned this yesterday, or I think this news was published after I released the video yesterday. La Comunidad Valenciana decreta el cierre total de la hostelería y Navarra no permitirá consumir en su interior. So the Valencian community has totally closed down hostelry, bars and restaurants and the like, and Navarra will not allow people to eat and drink in the inside of this type of establishment. So un cierre total, a total closure of bars, restaurants, everything like that down there in the Valencian community. We've been talking about this because somebody mentioned that there were various places in Valencia that had already done that, but now it's a Valencian community-wide closing of bars and restaurants. So another strict measure that the Valencian community thinks that they need to do to get the health situation under control in that particular part of Spain. And as always, time will tell if it is successful. Now we'll leave the news today because it's fairly depressing, and we'll go into the comment section and see what is happening there. We'll have a look at this one here from Hem Singh. I was recently watching some of your old videos and your channel has completely changed now. It's basically a news channel. Yeah, well, that's basically all I can do at the moment, unfortunately. We're not allowed to travel anywhere in Spain. I can't even go to a neighbouring autonomous community at the moment. I can't go to any other cities. And of course, it's been snowing for the last 2 weeks, so that hasn't helped things either. I would love to be able to travel around the country at the moment. I would love to be able to go down to Andalusia. I would love to be able to go to Valencia. I would love to be able to take a trip to the Canary Islands. But unfortunately, it's just not going to happen until this health situation is under control. When that's going to be, I've got no idea, but for the time being, all I can do is put out content on a regular basis to keep people informed of what's happening in the country, and I know that a lot of people like that. That is why I have been doing it constantly for the last year or so. But when this health crisis is behind us and we can travel again, I will definitely be out and about doing more travel videos, so stay tuned for that. I just can't give you a date of when that is going to happen. We'll have a look at another comment here, this one from Millennials with Money. If Lorraine has been here for 19 years, she is probably protected under the withdrawal agreement between the UK and the EU. She was a resident in Spain prior to the Brexit date and will be able to stay regardless. It has certainly been a confusing and stressful time over the past few years for British residents in the EU. Yeah, thanks for the comment, Millennials with Money. This is obviously referring to a comment that we had yesterday about a lady who was a bit worried because she thought that if she loses her job, she might not be allowed to stay in Spain. And you have pointed out here that perhaps that is not the case. To be honest, I have no idea what is happening between the EU and Britain. I don't know what the rules and regulations are going to be. Of course, I come from a non-European country. I come from Australia, so I'm not really up to speed on what's going on between the UK and the European Union. But I know that it is complicated. I know that there have been a lot of headaches for people from the UK over the last few years regarding this whole situation. And this type of question is going to pop up from time to time because people don't know and they have trouble getting the exact answers on these things. Because if you go to the internet to try to find the answers, there's so much information that it's almost impossible to get the correct one. So thanks for pointing that out there, Millennials with Money. On that note, I'll start to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the situation out as you normally do. Give us your opinion on what is happening in the country at the moment. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.